The World's Strangest True Stories, Fate's Library of the Paranormal and the Unknown, the Best of Fate magazine. Written by the editors of Fate. Narrated by Caleb Cutzinger. Introduction. The world is not what we think it is. If there is one theme that underlies this anthology of the strangest stories Fate has published in its nearly 4-decade history, it can be summarized in that one sentence. The individuals whose experiences you are about to hear know that only too well, since nothing in their lives up till then had prepared them for their encounters with things that are not supposed to happen outside the pages of science fiction novels. But they happen anyway, and they happen to a lot more people than most of us realize. The investigations of behavioral scientist David J. Hufford, described in his remarkable book, The Terror That Comes in the Night, are a case in point. Hufford found that 1 American in every 6 has had the experience of waking up in a state of paralysis, hearing weird noises, and seeing a frightening apparitional form approach and exert a crushing weight on his chest. Chances are you've never even heard of such a thing. It's so little spoken of that our culture doesn't even have a name for it. Yet whether you realize it or not, you know persons who've had the experience. Maybe you've had it yourself. Events like these remain hidden because the persons to whom they occur are afraid to speak of them out of a natural reluctance to have their sincerity or sanity questioned. Societies define their own realities, and those who challenge these definitions do so at their own peril. Societies, alas, have a way of confusing their realities with the realities of nature, which are far more difficult to define and far more elusive. Society decrees that winged birdmen do not exist. When people see them anyway, they usually choose not to advertise the fact. In a few cases, the unacceptable event is so public that there is no hiding it. When Australian pilot Frederick Valentich and his airplane vanished just as the young man was reporting the close approach of a UFO, the story quickly became an international sensation. Predictably, all sorts of alternative explanations, hoax, suicide, pilot disorientation, were hastily offered. When none proved satisfactory, the incident was just as hastily forgotten. We still don't know what happened to Valentich, and it's unlikely we ever will, since the authority figures in a position to investigate the question are afraid of the answer. The moral seems to be that where these kinds of events are concerned, ignorance is the best policy. Ignorance, of course, will not stop these kinds of events from occurring. Mysterious stuff will continue to fall out of the sky. People will continue to have bizarre UFO experiences. Certain individuals will still abruptly find themselves wandering through other worlds that coexist with ours on the other side of the dimensional border. Little men, monsters, talking mongooses, and invisible presences won't stop their determined trespassing into our reality. A few of the stories, most of them treated as manifestations of the silly season, will make the papers. Some people will laugh, others will shrug, and a few will take scissors in hand and clip. The world will go on as before. Someday, all of this will have to be dealt with. Someday, scientists will be appalled that practically nobody, not least of them their 20th century counterparts, cared, and that practically nobody bothered to keep records of these strange appearances and experiences. Then they will discover that a few publications did keep track, and the most prominent of them was Fate. While most of the world was turning a deaf ear to dimensions of human experience that human beings are not supposed to experience, Fate was listening, and a great number of people who wanted to tell their stories, knowing they were important, knowing they had to be heeded and accounted for, were directing their reports Fate's way. You are about to hear the strangest of them, the reports that represent the greatest challenge to science, reason, and understanding. While science has slowly moved toward consideration of such phenomena as ESP, psychokinesis, near-death experiences, and the Loch Ness Monster, it is a long, long way from being able to deal with the odd, inexplicable, often terrifying things that you will meet here. But give science a century to catch up with the experiences of a significant portion of the rest of the human race, and we have here, in the world's strangest stories, the stuff of a 21st century scientific revolution. When that happens, presumably we'll get a full, unobstructed view of those other realities from which all these bizarre objects and entities have walked, crawled, flown, or dropped. For now, we'll have to be satisfied with these tantalizing glimpses of things that don't belong here, of worlds not our own. The Editors of Fate.